Hi, everyone. So here's the thing. My name is Kim Carr, and my background is in education. I actually taught middle school, the fun age of middle schoolers, for 13 years, and then been doing this since working for my nonprofit for since 2013. We specialize in digital wellness and digital citizenship and digital safety. Is kind of who our nonprofit is. So we're gonna have a little fun tonight, and we're looking for some audience participation. If you're able to, just drop it in the chat, kind of a thing. But with a simple raise the hand with your emoji, how many of you guys remember this story back in 1987, where it's baby Jessica? Baby Jessica, anybody remember that story where she fell? She was like a baby, like under a year old, and she actually fell in a well. She fell in a well, and this is like nationwide. The story made nation attention, and like everybody was watching it. And you can see there's workers from other countries that came to figure out how they can get this baby out of the well. Like the entire nation came together. I remember this story of 2016, where you've got Harambe, which I know this actually was in Cincinnati, Ohio, where Harambe, right, same thing, a toddler falls into the zoo, like the gorilla pit, and right away they make memes, and then parents are like, rest in peace, Harambe. Now arrest the mother and put her kids in state custody. She's unfit to parent. So now we have social media that helps with this and makes it happen, and even more memes come up. They make these kind of into humor. Completely started changing with memes. It definitely went with the dark humor became big. So this is what I Can Help really is we need your help. That everyone needs to start seeing that this has become a problem. Before social media was here, like everyone was here to back each other. And now that we have social media, it's so much easier to judge people and to challenge people. How many of you guys as parents, you have had Pinterest fails? Like you tried something and you've had fails, and you have failed as a parent, like you feel like it is. And now it's even more pressure as a parent. How many of you guys feel the pressure as a parent? And you just are worried about what other people are going to think when you do fail, right? That is real. I want to make sure I validate what your thoughts are as a parent. How about this one? How many of you guys have more than one kid and you think you've got something down, and then the second kid comes and completely is different than the first kid, and then the third kid comes and is completely different than the first and second kid? So that's the problem that parenting, right? Parenting is hard. There's no like, yeah, there's books and stuff about parenting, but there's no like book about your kid, because every kid is so different. So that's how we're really here to help. And then who remembers 2020? Right? So then we have 2020, where you get COVID that comes along, and everyone's got to help their children with online learning. And just for fun, I just thought some of these were pretty funny, just so we can laugh, because that's what this is about. Is it is hard. Parenting's hard. So yes, you just gave your kid extra credit for helping carry my wine in from the car to the house. Shut up. I'm the teacher now. It's fine. Everything is fine. So everything is going to be fine. I promise you. I'm hoping you'll learn something from today. Because I am a teacher, I am going to ask you at the end to give me your homework. Is simply going to be, during this presentation, I want you to share something in of what will you say. Not only can you help, this is what I will do to help. So I'm hoping that each of you guys will be able to say that at the end, right? This is what I will do as a parent. When I walk away from this is what I will do. Just so you can kind of get an idea, is with education, I think this is important too, to figure out what our lane is, because we have so many people that want to get out of their lane and go and be like, I want to be an advocate for this person. I want to be an advocate for this person. And it's remembering that we need to stay in what is our lane. I think it's great to be supportive and helpful, but at the same time, being an educator, a lot of people want to try to do the educator's job or think that they can do it better. When really, I'm going to tell you that there's a lot of things educators can't do because they have so many rules and guidelines they have to follow. That's why it's so important for parents, especially, to try to make sure they remember what is their lane. Where do they need to stay? Of course, you're always going to be an advocate for your child, but there's going to be times when you need to make sure that's the lane you need to stay in. And then you do sometimes have to go, I need to trust the system. And have that kind of piece there, because schools do have some certain things that they're not allowed to tell you for privacy reasons, and different reasons. So just kind of, that's a great way of having it. There's so many cases that I'm going to kind of reference this of staying in our lane, because it is important to kind of see. So that's just one piece that I want to kind of make sure we say. And again, these are the three things that our nonprofit focuses on, is we empower student change makers, right? I'll show you how we empower students to be what we call digital first responders, because they're the first ones to the scene. They're the first ones that get to see a bad Snapchat or a bad text or mean text or all those different things. They're the first ones to the scene. We promote digital safety. We want them to realize, like, hey, this is what we need to do to be safe. And the last thing we do is, this is important, is we get to celebrate. We get to celebrate youth innovation. And we do that with the big tech companies. So we actually do have partnerships with a lot of the big tech companies, everything from TikTok, Google, Facebook, even the big gaming companies, Roblox, Riot Games, those different ones. And then we believe that students need to be part of the solution. So because we empower the students, they're actually a part of the solution to kind of help us with these issues that are happening online, that we have success. So this is actually our data from 2019 to 2020, that we actually, back in 2019, when all schools were open and active, we had 10 school threats in that year were reported to us from students of schools that we work with. We had several suicide threats that were reported to us to a trusted adult, because we taught them, this is how you handle that. Over 1,500 negative sites were taken down, either fake pages, hate pages, those kind of things. And the last one is, we trained so many students how to create positive online content to keep everything kind of positive. Because if you can decrease your online drama, you can decrease your on-campus drama, which then can decrease your discipline, which that's what we are proud that we're able to do. Here's the big piece, right? News media is 24/7. So news media is hard, like, to see. And so you have school shootings, which is making the media on a regular basis. What else is in the news media? COVID-19, right? How many of you guys had to stop watching the news? Raise of hands. How many of you guys stopped watching the news because it just got draining every single day to watch about COVID-19 and how it's not changing and it's continuously there. Then you had the elections, right? They had, like, 2020, that was draining on people, like, to sit there and watch all the negative talk, all the negative things that were going on. And then now you've got riots and these, in California, you've got fires, and now you've got hurricanes, you've got all these different things that are constantly happening. This is draining to people, and it's already toxic. And it's definitely bringing out, people are being reactive because it is so draining. But then this is the other stuff that you realize that most adults don't realize. This is the other world that students are seeing. This is their Instagram page. And yes, if you're 100% correct, Cheryl, like, this is exhausting. So you have, the one on the right is a silhouette from a scary movie, but that's what some student put up on her Instagram page. And it literally says, captioned it, mood. How does a student respond to one of her peers with this? Like, I don't know about you, but I would freak out. Like, if that was my friend, like, I would freak out. I wouldn't know how to handle this. And this is what we do, is we teach them how to handle these awkward situations so that you don't panic. And it is exhausting to see this. So you don't have to be so worried and live with it, because it is hard. So we teach them how they need to handle it and what they can do. They can report it. There's 3 dots here, making sure that you know how to do that. You can report self-harm, suicidal thoughts, underage drinking, harassment, any of those kind of things. Make sure you as a parent know what you can report, because I think that that's super important, and that your child knows how to report. They can probably show you how to do it. Like, that's the fun part, to sit on the couch and be like, hey, can you just show me how to report? That's my best advice, I will tell you. And I will tell you, that's one of my favorite homework assignments that people put at the end, is they tell me, my best advice I have for you is to act dumb. Always act dumb, like you don't know anything about social media, even though you might know something. Just act dumb, because then you find out from them what they actually know. By when you play dumb, like, oh, I don't know, can you explain that to me? They will tell you so much. It'll be way more than you probably wanted, but I guarantee you, then you can actually see, do they actually know it? So I would just play dumb. Hey, can you show me how to report? I just act dumb, and then they completely show me how to do it. And then I'm like, oh, they do know how. Social media is affecting our mental health. I mean, this is a real thing. 1 in 5 students have some kind of mental health issue, everything from anxiety to depression. but 5 out of 5 students have mental health, or even humans have mental health. So that's why it's so important that if you are not, as a parent, talking about mental health with them, this is something that I'm hoping you take away from today too, is that you can actually bring up mental health with them. And I'll show you some ways you can do that. 37% increase in teen depression and anxiety. This is from 2017, this data, and it was before smartphones came out. And I'll show you kind of like why that's the reason. And then I'm going to drop down to the next one. The 40% of teens don't turn to adults for help. They turn to their peers. I mean, because think about it, even adults do the same thing. You're no longer going to your parent anymore. You used to have to call your parents if, like, you didn't know how to cook, how long did it take to cook corn? You would have to call your parent, or like, hey, I don't know how to sell this car. But now if you don't know something, it's so easy to go YouTube. It's so easy to go Google search. So I will tell you, the older generation, they feel actually they don't feel needed because they are not getting used. Same thing, students are not turning to their peers or turning to the adults anymore, because it's so easy now to go online, to go to Google, to go to YouTube, to find those answers, to go to your online friends. So I'm just making sure I show you that. And then the last one, this is always a big one. This number 2 cause of death for 10 to 24-year-olds is suicide. The number 2 cause of death in the nation is suicide for 10 to 24-year-olds. I guarantee, I will tell you that during COVID, this actually moved up in quite a few states to the number 1 spot. So just showing you, this is the is. So I'm so thankful that you came here tonight as a parent to then hopefully say, this is what I can do to help. At the end, you'll be able to say, this is what I will do to help, right? To be able to change this. And just to kind of make it even more real, I'm actually going to stop sharing just so I can see your hand raised. Doing a quick little activity. Simply raise your hand if you've ever seen a text. If you've ever sent a text message with your Zoom emotions, right? If you've ever sent a text message to the wrong person before, just go ahead and raise your hand if you've ever sent a text message to the wrong person before, right? And I'm sure you freaked out. You're like, oh my gosh, what did I just do, right? You like freak out, you panic. Again, this is the reason why anxiety and depression have increased so much. Let me ask you this one. Have you ever been put in an awkward group chat? So raise your hand if you've ever been put in an awkward group chat before. And again, a lot of adults are not in that many group chats, but students are. They're in all kinds of group chats, everything from athletics to school to friends. They get put into group chats. A lot of times they don't even know who the person is. They even get put into DMs, direct messages on social media, and they're like, I don't even know who this is. Super awkward for them. So again, anxiety and depression go up. Raise your hand if you've ever felt anxiety or depression, if you've ever felt anxiety or depression. And again, look at how my hands are raised. And this is the part that this is so important for students to see, is you're not alone. This is a normal feeling. We need to validate that so we can say, like, hey, this happens to people. How can we move forward? So this is what I'm hoping you see. And I will make sure when I'm at Northmont next week, this is something we do actually show so that the students can see that, right? And then I'm going to ask this one. Raise your hand if you or someone you know has ever been asked for inappropriate photos, aka nudes, nude pictures. So raise your hand if you or someone you know has ever been asked for inappropriate photos. Now, this is interesting. This is adults, but guess what? When I ask it with students, all the hands are going up. This is the real world. Like, we're in 2021. This is what's happening. So making sure you do see that students are getting asked for inappropriate photos, aka naked pictures, right? Raise your hand if you or someone you know has ever had suicidal thoughts. You or someone you know has ever had suicidal thoughts. Yeah, look at all these hands. So again, we're in a really dark world. I will tell you that students, when they're doing it, majority of them will raise their hand again. I actually was just working with quite a few groups of students. Majority of them have had a classmate this is nationwide, by the way. They have had a friend, if not more than one classmate, multiple classmates die of suicide. So just making sure you do see this, that our world is really dark. How can we do something about it? Knowing this is a problem, each of you are here tonight. You all can help. The question is, will you? We have to start changing these facts, and the only way we can do it is if we start, doing something about it. So again, I'm so appreciative that you're here today and that you're here and hopefully getting some tips and tricks. And please stop me at any time if you guys have any questions. But I wanted to start off with this. And all of the stuff you're seeing tonight was made by students for students. So these ones, I work closely with students. They actually are like, we need to have a conversation about perception versus reality, right? This constantly what you see online is so different than what's actually really happening. And so this is the perfect example of this one. This one right here is, you know, what do you see when you think of this going on? But then if you look at the other side of the picture, it's the same tiger carrying their baby instead of it looking like they're eating. So again, this is what's happening with that 24 media, of like the media is doing to you, is your perception of reality depends on what you see and are shown. So with the students, I actually show them real live tweets of what is happening in this, and what they've been shown and what the reality is of it. Because I think that's so important for them to see, because here's another one that the students, you know, gave to me to use is, here's a girl that's taking this beautiful picture, looks really exotic and wild and cool, right, and sleek. But then here's the reality is she's like at a hospital in front of a billboard. So I think that's the hard part, is they see this, man, I wish I had her life. It looks so mysterious, but they don't even actually see the behind the scenes. So the big thing here, I'm hoping you get away, is that you will walk away tonight, making sure you tell your child when you're having a hard day. Explain to them that, like, man, I'm having a hard day and here's the reason why. And how did you get past that? Because a lot of them have hard days, but they don't know how to get past it, because they only see everyone's good days. They don't see the hard stuff anymore because no one's posting about it. And they only want to focus on people's good days. So like I said, I did, and if someone from the staff, if you wouldn't mind redropping that link I did at the beginning, if you want to redrop it, just so the parents can have it there. It's a guideline. I'm going to follow that here. Perfect, thank you. Oh, that's the wrong one. That's for the tickets. So Sasha, if you want to drop the parent guidelines. I'm going to walk through this. That way you have the notes are there. But follow or friend your child on any social media sites they have. So if your kid has TikTok, am I expecting you to have TikTok? No. But if your kid is on TikTok, what I am expecting you to do is to go on TikTok and at least know what it is and how they use it. Like that's so important, is knowing how they use it. If your kid is on Roblox or if they're on Fortnite, are you at least seeing how they are using it? If they're on some gaming device with the headphones, are you listening to how they're talking? That's why it's so important that all their devices should be used in like the living room or not in their bedrooms, right? That their gaming devices are not in their bedrooms. Or at night, where is your kid charging their cell phones? Because their cell phones should actually be in the kitchen being charged, because there's such a temptation. I mean, this is an addiction. You can be addicted to a device. So making sure that they put their device in the piece. But the biggest one here I want you to make sure you understand is, if your kid is on something, you should be on that as well. You don't have to have an account, but you need to make sure you actually know what it is. If they're on Snapchat, know how it's being used, okay? Just to give an example, these are all like the main ones, and I'll kind of go through them quickly, but Instagram, this is House Party. That's kind of how it initiated. But now, again, that's what it looks like, Red Solo Cup, but now they've changed it to like a waving hand, because Ellen DeGeneres actually bought it and made it way safer. But I wanted you guys to see how apps kind of start, and that usually they are started by college students, which is kind of funny. So that's how it was a Red Solo Cup. Then it's YouTube. Even the camera, what are they taking pictures of? What are they taking videos of? This is WhatsApp app, and which that one's used for is iPhones and Androids have a hard time communicating. So students either use GroupMe's or they use WhatsApp to do group chats in, or if they have friends that are international, they will then use these kind of apps. Then there's TikTok, and there's text messages. So again, you can group chat. There's Twitter, even email, right? What are they emailing? This is Roblox, which is a gaming device. Here is Fortnite, Snapchat. And then inside these apps, there's other things. So Snapchat is what's called YOLO, which means you only live once, and they can ask questions. And then there is, I always forget this one. This is Twitch, which is like a streaming service for gamers. They can sit there and they can watch them play video games. The other one that's like that is Discord, which is also a streaming service for gamers. But they're using Discord as well to do group chats in. So those are all the main ones. If your kid is on this, if this is downloaded on their phone, you should know it, know how to report, know what they're doing on it. Again, if you want to know who your kid hangs out with in real life, raise your hand if you want to know who your kid's hanging in real life. Then you should know who they're hanging out with on social media. Yes, you've got all those hands, you got it, right? Know who they're hanging out with on these pieces. Number 2 on the thing is going over on a regular basis what information they should not be sharing online or over text, right? Like this is important. It's even good for adults to remember because sometimes they forget. The big one is just like full name, phone numbers. Like over here's an example of someone who gave out their phone number because they just threw it up on social media, just started commenting in the comments, not realizing a lot of people on there are public and not private. Address, what they'll do is that they get excited, they got their permit, they got their driver's license, they get a package at home, they quickly take a picture to post it up on their Snap. Your complete address is right there. Their school name, they could put their school, but usually just put abbreviations, but that way it's easier for people who are sex trafficking. It's so easy for them to know. They'll purposely target school names by who they're trying to go after if they're putting their full name. And then the last one is even passwords. Well, passwords on there, and they'll be like, oh, I'm best friends with, Sasha's my best friend this week, but then I get mad at her and I'm now going to use her Snapchat code against her and I'm going to go and sabotage her on her Snapchat account and pretend like I'm her. So that's happening more and more nowadays. So making sure they keep their passwords private. You should have it. It is not for you to go and like sneak in their room, right? It's not that. It is, or sneak in their diary. What it's for is this is almost like a public newsletter, newspaper, news magazine. If they actually post something or someone posts something on them, that you're able to go on there and help them take it down. So if you explain it to them that way, then they're more likely to give it to you. But if you're making it seem like it's about investigation, they're going to be like, and they're going to change their password on a regular basis so you don't find out what it is. So again, if you tell them you need to know their password for their protection and for their safety, and that if something does go up, that you can quickly go on when they know about it, that's what it's for. Again, please put up your questions in the chat if there's something you want me to address, have any questions. But this is a big one. Just colleges do look at their social media sites, right? So again, making sure you do follow what they're having, knowing what they're posting about, because colleges are looking at that. Your social media is your resume for life now, is kind of what I tell students. It's their resume. And it's a fun way to kind of impact this and talk about digital footprint, or I like to call it digital tattoo. Do a simple Google search of your name, and show them, hey, here's my digital footprint. Here's my digital tattoo. So if you Google search Kim Carr, the funny thing about it is I did not know this about myself, but I am a sexy romance novelist. I wish this was me because I am a #1 best-selling author, but clearly there's another Kim Carr in the world that goes by this name. It's her author name. But it's funny because when people Google search me, this is what they find. Along with, I have some these are real my things. I have some records from my college from when I played softball. So that comes up when they Google search me, and also my work with my nonprofit. So I ask students to Google search me, find out what they can find about me, because it's showing them what a digital footprint looks like. So have some fun with it. Have them Google search your entire family and see who has the most and laugh about it, what does come up. Have a good time with it, but then you're able to give them a good educational piece at the same time. Because then this goes into this kind of content that does go up there. I know, right? Cheryl, I love it. Students are posting, right, parties, and they're posting this kind of things and making sure they realize that anybody can take a screenshot of a Snapchat, even if it's only for 1 second, or they can take a screenshot of a text, right? Anything, they can take a screenshot and then they can post this. So what someone did, they had a party. You can see they made a swastika out of cups. Someone then took a screenshot off of Snapchat, put it up on Twitter and on Facebook, telling people, go email and call the principal. This is a problem. Now, again, staying in your lane, making sure you know where we should be going. is this actually is not the school to blame. This is not during the weekend. This is not on school property. No one's wearing school attire. But why is this now the school problem? Making sure you know what their lane is and knowing what your parent lane is. This is the parent lane. This is a parent that needs to go and approach. If you want to go approach somebody, you need to go approach every parent that's in here. If this is a problem with you, right? So understanding the lanes that people need to stay in, because this is not the school lane. And now you've got all these people who are wanting to complain to the principal about these students. That's not the school's problem. This is a parent's issue. So just showing you that lane of where it needs to kind of go. Number 3 on your sheet is knowing your child's password on their mobile devices. We kind of talked about this, but this is so important because, again, for example, I have my dad's passwords because he's 75. He has no clue how to use Facebook, but he loves being on it. So my brother had an ex-roommate who got mad at him and was really mentally unstable, started attacking our family. We all blocked him, deleted the messages because we all know how to do that. My dad doesn't. So I had to quickly go on with his password, be able to go in and delete the comments and block this guy because my dad doesn't know how to do that. So just making sure you kind of show that example of making sure why you need to have that password. Number 4 is monitor your child's mobile use and text messages on a regular basis. Most plans that I love hearing which plan you have. Do you have Verizon? Do you have Sprint? I will tell you Verizon, I've heard from parents, is the best for parents for safety purposes because they have great safety plans. But the big thing here is most cell phone plans are now, what's the word for it? Like it's all in one, like you pay one price. Everything is unlimited. There we go. If you could remember the word, unlimited. And so, but go back on that bill and you should be able to, like I do it every month too, just to see how much usage I had, how much website did I use, how many text messages did I send. You should be looking at what your child's phone is sending, because if it's high or if it's drastically lower, there could be some mental health issues, right? Something is going on. So make sure you are looking at that and even showing to them how much they're using. Perfect example is this story is Bailey wanted this story to go viral on Twitter because she got tired of this happening to her on a regular basis. I will tell you, I'm going to share this story, specific story, with students next week, in case you want to bring it up after they see me present. Bailey wanted the story to go viral because I wanted you to see how her day goes on a regular basis. So here she is, she gets dressed, thinking she's looking great, right? Later on, someone circles the back of her legs, they caption it thick. Now, raise your hand. How many of you guys think this is messed up? Right? So again, this is a problem. Yes, see, if your hand is raised, you can help. The question is, will you, right? Will you do something about it? Because this happened to her, Bailey, on a daily basis. No students was helping her. Not one student went to Dylan. You can see the top left corner. He's the one that posted on his Snap. Didn't go to Dylan saying, dude, this is messed up. This is not how we treat people. Not one person went to Bailey saying, are you okay? Are you okay? Because I saw what Dylan posted about you. That really made me upset and I have your back. Not one person gets a screenshot of this to turn into an adult. Because again, 40% of teenagers do not turn to adults when there's an issue, right? They didn't take a screenshot. There's 2 reasons why. Number 1, there is the saying of snitches gets stitches. So students are afraid to turn this in because they're being a snitch. There's a difference between being a snitch and asking for help. At some point, you have to ask for help. The second reason is if you take a screenshot on Snapchat, it'll notify the user. It'll notify Dylan, who's the one that posts this. It'll tell him Kim Carr has taken a photo. So then they freak out like, I don't want Dylan to know I took a picture of this because then I'm going to get some slack, right? Once they kind of tell them, they're digital first responders. They're the first ones to the scene. You got to choose. I just showed you the mental health issues. You got to choose. Do you want to keep this to keep happening to people like Bailey and other people? If you don't, if you say, no, I don't want that, then you can help. You can help by saying, I don't care, Dylan, that you know. And some students feel comfortable with that. There are some who don't. So what they can do is they can take a phone, go over a phone and take a picture or video, and boom, they now have a picture of it without that person knowing. Same thing's happening on gaming devices. I will tell you that. because they're tired of how people are talking to them on their headsets. They're making threats like, I'm going to kill you, I'm going to shoot up the school. They're making those kind of threats. They're now pulling out their cameras, videotaping how someone is talking. So this is the power that each of them have. They all can help. The question is, will they? And I'm giving them different ways of how they can handle that situation. What happens next? Billy has to text her mom, hey mom, can you bring me clothes? Because she's having this conversation with her mom is annoyed. Why? What do you got on? Right? Like, that's how I read this text. She then has to tell her, I have a dress on, people are making fun of me and taking pictures of me, and I want to change. Quickly changes her tone. Do you need shoes? I'll be there in 7 minutes. So again, they're not telling their parents, and then the parents get annoyed, right? So that's where that digital first responder comes into play. Teach them that when you see a car accident, you at least call 911. I'm hoping you maybe would get out. This next step would be, hey, get out of your car and go check on the person. There's so many things that they can do, but they're the first ones to the scene because I don't see their snaps, right? They've got different people. You don't see their snaps. You don't see all of them. I don't see the same TikTok. Like, my For You page on TikTok is different. So they're seeing a different feed than what I'm seeing. So they're first ones to the scene. They can't just scroll past me like, well, that's messed up, right? What can they do about it?
Not you.
Just showing how much they can actually help. This was created by our students because, again, everything we have is student by students for students. So this is talking about the digital wellness, going back to the mental health. How can you control your device so the device doesn't control you? Here's examples that students are using. And even it's good for you to tell your child, like, hey, this is what I do with my phone, because again, they actually might know more about like on a device because it's, comes naturally to them. They probably know how to make font bigger, but they don't always know how to put it down. So just showing them examples of what you can do on how to control that device. This is a big one that I'm hoping this will be helpful because mental health is a problem, like I've shown you before. So we're just going to quickly run through an emotional first aid kit. And this is where I do need you to help me out in the chat just because it makes it more fun. We're going to make an emotional first aid kit and sounds. Like this is my go-to. What's your favorite song? What's a song that completely changes your mood for the better when you hear it on the radio? What is your song? If you can put it in the chat. No worries. Yes. Okay. Oh, we've been there. Oh, I get it. Okay. So I thought that was a song, Sasha. I thought, like, that's a good song. I've never heard of it. But what is the songs that make you happy? And I put some on there. Like, I just love Justin Timberlake. Like, he is one of my favorites. I love old school. I love that Queen became big again. All those kind of songs will completely change my mood. I've made playlists on my phone. Good to be alive. Yes, Jill. Perfect. Yeah. So those different things are so important. The second one in my emotional first aid kit is sites. What are the pictures that you have on your phone? Where's your favorite place? Like, think of where you live. Where in your town do you like to go to that just completely changes your mood, right? The other one that I love to show is like, what's your screensaver? So my screensaver is me and my niece from a cruise that we went on. So, and I try to change this because it does completely change my mood. So where are some places that completely changes your mood? Is it a certain room of your house? I've had some parents tell me like, oh yeah, my laundry room, because that's the only place that my kids do not want to come to because they don't want to do chores. So where is your favorite room in your house, right? What are those places? The third one in your emotional first aid kit is touch. What are the items that bring you comfort? So my favorite senior gift is I actually get all seniors that work with me, I get them weighted blankets. Last year I got my interns kinetic sand because everyone just loves the sand, just touch of it. I only wear soft t-shirts now. I got rid of anything else. I have a necklace that I usually wear. I don't know why I don't have it on today, but I usually have a necklace that I have. So think about what are those, a lot of people got COVID pets, right? All these different things. Yeah, perfect. Yep. Then smells. What are the smells that make you happy? So, oh man, gasoline for some reason is like the number one answer. It's so funny to me. What are the smells that make you happy? And then what are the smells that make you relaxed? And then that's why essential oils became so big, because lavender and mint are those smells that do make you relaxed and they don't realize it. And then number 5, this one's always fun to hear because, and this is important for you to know who your humans are for your child. And it's okay if it's not you, right? My mom knows that like, since I was in high school, I never went to her with problems. I actually went to other adults. She said, as long as I know you're going to an adult for help, I don't have a problem with that, right? But I need you to realize that you need to make sure you're going to an adult for problems, because I didn't want my mom to know, because she's an overreactor. She completely overreacts and she over worries. It drives me crazy. So that's why I didn't like to tell her things. So who are your humans that you go to for when you need help, when you want to be able to vent, because they need to have somebody? Does your kid have that? Help them to establish it. And then the last one is taking action, right? You're gonna feel anxious. You're gonna feel depressed. You're gonna feel lonely. That is a given. Validate it, own it, and then you have to take, so you get some of the power back. Those feelings are still gonna be there, but then you probably need to go take action. Who likes to clean when you feel this way? Organize, cook, draw, go work out, whatever it might be. Walk your child through an emotional first aid kit, and even walk them through what you would say, so they can hear what your answers are, so that you guys can have those conversations. Because again, this is the is, right? These are ises. Children are deprived of healthy fundamentals. Emotionally available parents. I mean, think about it. Like, things have changed so much since even, like, let's say the 80s, because now we did have, great movements like women power movements, where women are getting paid equal pays now in a lot of the companies. But now that means that you've got both parents are working full time, right? So they don't have available parents anymore. There's not someone at home all the time. I was a latchkey kid. I had to let myself in since I was in middle school. Clearly defined limits and guidelines. Hey, how much cell phone should I have? How much gaming should I have? Is there a limit and guidelines for this? Like, there's no defined. When can I have my first cell phone? The suggestion age is 13, but how many of you guys got pressured to get your kid sooner than 13, right? They're getting pressured. Responsibilities. A lot of them are not, like, for some reason, they don't have that much responsibilities. They are, and they need the responsibilities for a healthy lifestyle. A lot of them aren't getting their driver's license because they don't want to have more responsibility, because they feel so much responsibility from these devices. They're also lacking movement and outdoors. They're staying inside so much. This is even before COVID, honestly, because they're sitting there on their devices. Creative play and social interaction, and even downtime, because during our downtime, you would literally have to sit and do nothing. But now you sit and you're on this, and this is making your brain constantly being functioning, right? So your brain can't ever turn off. So that's why this is becoming a problem. So I just gave you the is. Now I'm going to give you some tips of what you can do as a parent, right? What you can do. So number one is making sure you yourself and your children are spending at least 1 hour a day outside. You've got to be the model, right? Second one is let them be bored. It's okay. It's okay that your children are bored. They're going to complain. Let them complain. If I ever complained I was bored, my mom would give me more chores and more responsibility. So I stopped saying that really quickly. Have daily technology free and family time. I see families now on the couches, like watching TV, and they're all on their device. If you can have dinner without their devices, like, I'm telling you, have something where, like, this is our norm, is we just don't have our device. Social with peers. This is important, especially, like, we're still kind of in the COVID phase where it's awkward for people to hang out, because I'm not sure what your family's beliefs are. If, some families are vaccinated, some are not vaccinated. Some don't want their kid to be around people. Some are like, we don't care, you can go be around a whole bunch of people. So everyone's in such a weird mix right now that your kids might need help you planning some social outings, kind of like that they were back in kindergarten, that you're planning their friend groups for them. Help them plan something so that they can have social interaction, because they do need to get out of the house and have some kind of social interaction. Or even if it is virtually, like, if that's what you feel comfortable with, then make sure you help them plan that. And then the last one on this slide, we have one more slide, is I'm giving responsibilities and chores. Like, that's what it comes down to. Your kid needs to have some kind of responsibility and chores, because they need to be part of the solution and part of the problems in your house. You need to help them solve the problems of your chores, let them be a part of it. So again, that goes along with this one, is being a part of the solution. Allow them, if they've caused a problem, make them come up with the consequence, right? If there is a problem in the family and you're kind of stressed about it, ask them for help. Like, hey, this is the problem I'm having. Do you have any suggestions? They know your family. You'd be surprised at what they can come up with. Setting boundaries. This is not just with cell phones. This is with curfew. This is with food intake. This is with all of that, because this is the problem we're having is students are eating too much, or they're not going to bed early enough. All those kind of things have definitely become mental health issues. Listen and talk openly. This is a big one that I'm hoping parents walk away from tonight too, is you have to listen more and talk less. I'll say it again because I think that's important. Listen more and talk less. If your kid is talking to you, allow them to talk, and allow them to talk with no judgment. Allow them to talk without reaction, because when you make reaction, if your kid tells you something shocking, if you show reaction of like, oh my gosh, they're more likely going to not want to tell you because they're so worried that you're going to freak out. That's you freaking out. So it's listen and let them be open without reaction. Again, I just sit there and I'm like, in the back of my head, I'm freaking out, but I just listen and talk openly. The last one is teaching by example. A lot of them, like I said, they don't understand why you have it. If they see you at dinner with your phone, they're like, oh, well, my parent always has their phone on. I'm going to be on my phone at dinner. If I have my phone at dinner, I will flat out tell people who I'm eating with, hey, the reason I have my phone is because I'm waiting for my mom to call me, or I'm waiting for blah, blah, blah. Like, I make it very clear why I have it out, right? And I'm waiting for this phone number. If I don't, I actually don't even have it at the table, right? I try not to even have it at the table, so there's no temptation there for me at all. But I definitely try to teach by example, and tell them. And what's neat is, since I've done this, all the students I work with, they're constantly like, hey, Kim, I'm just letting you know, I have my phone here because of this. I'm waiting for somebody to call me, right? I just think it's cool if you show by example. Number 5 off the sheet is check their privacy, security, and GPS settings on their phone and social media. Like, do you even know that it's on for photos? Like, if I take a picture, if I text that to somebody, if they save it, if they just swipe up, it'll show you exactly where I was when I took that picture. Do you even know that was a feature? Right? So just making sure you know that's even a thing, because they can have snap maps on in Snapchat. They can actually have that on. Did you know that they can even do that? Right? So if you don't want them to have it, I have my snap maps on, but I only allow like 5 people to follow my snap maps. Some of them you can mark it as ghost mode. You can mark it with everyone. You can mark it with only these people. And that's what I have it marked as. And then this is a big one I just try to tell them is like, hey, when in doubt, like if you don't know if you should have it on, like leave it out, right? So just kind of having that conversation of like locations. I try not to actually, because I travel so much, I try not to post when I'm not at my house, because I post usually after the trip, because I don't want people to know where I'm at, because then they can go break into my house if they wanted to. Talk to your child about who they friend on social media. This is a big one. Right? Again, if you want to know who their kid hangs out with in real life, you should know who they hang out with online. So who they're friending online, because a lot of them are following these like fake pages. They're following fight pages. They're following roasting pages. They're following fake and hate pages. Are you looking at who they're following? So go and look. Simply even ask them, can I see who you follow on your Instagram? Can I see who you follow on your TikTok? Show me who you follow, right? Because if they're following this like Davis High School roast, is that something you want them to follow? That's clearly a very negative page. There's like fight pages, all kinds of stuff. This one says, these roasts are going to get meaner. Don't report, just block, right? Just block us. Don't pay attention to us. Don't report us, because you're going to shut us down, but you can just block us. And because again, there's 178 people that this finally got to meet, 178 students from this tiny school were following it. And if you notice, here's what they said, oh, all these people gave me consent to roast. But actually this student that they were roasting is a special needs student. His parents were really upset that he was even on there. They're like, he did not give them permission. He doesn't even have an account. So they're doing this as a joke. So the big thing we tell students is this, right? You won't be kind online if you're not kind in person, and you won't be kind in person if you aren't kind online. This includes you as an adult. Are you kind online? Because a lot of adults get their emotions, get mixed up, they get angry, and then they blast. This is some adult humor. So go ahead and read this for some humor and laugh. if you think it's funny, but basically my friend posted this because know what your child's username is, because a lot of young men especially will change it on a frequent thing, and they usually make it pretty sexual innuendos. So hopefully this is some good humor of I will make you moisty is the username. Number 7, talk about what a negative or inappropriate comment, picture, or post is, right? So make sure they even know what it is, because a lot of times they're so, what's the word? They're so used to it that they don't understand that this is actually wrong. Like they just are like, oh, I see this all the time, right? This doesn't even faze them that this is actually a negative thing. This is not an okay thing. This is an inappropriate thing. Like they don't even realize it. So talk to them on a regular basis that, yeah, fake pages where it's like the person's name and school slut, not okay, right? Slander page, like fight pages, not okay. So just talking to them openly about that. And then we teach them how to respectfully comment. You don't want to be rude, because 2 wrongs don't make a right. So if someone's mean, you don't teach them to be mean back. Just like if your kid kicks your one son or your kid kicks the other kid, do you want that kid to kick back? No, because they're just going to kick harder. So just teach them to respectfully comment. We also teach them how to use the hashtag ICANHELP. The reason why we teach them that is it's kind of like a Batman signal, like, dude, I'm here to help you, right? So that's what that is. So again, it's teach them like, hey, when you see something negative, you can block them, you can report them, you can put them on mute. Like if you're tired of seeing negative stuff, you can put, like, if you don't want to see people on my Facebook feed, I muted some people because I don't want to see they're constantly posting about political viewpoints, and I'm like, I don't really want to see that, right? So I just muted them. You can block them, you can report them, making sure people do know about things. So just walking them through, because this is the way that they're getting asked for nudes, just simply on Snapchat, like a thing, like a nudes question mark. But what's neat is this has happened to so many students now that they're now speaking up about it, and they send me stuff like this where it says like, hey, are you sure? Are you sure you want to send this photo? Are you sure you can trust the recipient? Because they sent it to one person, they thought, and then that person sent it to multiple people. So I had a student who actually had this happen to her send this to me as like, hey, I really want them to think about this, right? So first, if you have a daughter, have you had this conversation with them of how are they going to handle this if this comes to them? What are they going to say? If you have a son, I will tell you what happens is a lot of girls just send it to them without even them asking. Girls just send it to them. How are they going to respond? Have you walked them through those scenarios? Number 8, the last one is this: explain that and everyone uses social media for fun, right? That's what it's supposed to be for, but unfortunately people don't use it for fun. Teaching them how to handle those awkward moments. I'm gonna go back. How do you handle if someone is self-harming or talks about suicide? How can you handle that? We walk them through those different steps. What do you do if there's a group chat that does go out of control? How can you handle that, right? Usually, like if they go to a party, you'd say like, blame it on your parent. Like that's my biggest thing, is my mom always told me, is blame it on me. Like I don't care. Like if you want to get out of something, blame it on me. So just teach them these are different scenarios that we've given them, and then we give them answers. We do celebrate. I think that's important. So if your kid is doing something right and they're using it for the right reasons, or they show you something amazing, sit down with them, have them show you what they're making, what they're following. These are some of the accounts we love to recognize because they're doing such cool things. Let's see. Alex Knoll, I think he was 9 when he created his app called the Ability app. Anybody who's disabled, they can follow his app and find out, is this hotel or restaurant have the things that I need for my disability, right? Super cool. Teenager therapy, they started making a podcast. They're sophomores. They just graduated from high school, and they have a huge following on their Instagram, and they got all kinds of influencers that they did on their podcast. They actually interviewed Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, right? So these are some sites that we talk about. So again, like follow some of their fun ones that they follow and have that in common with them. So again, like I said, me being an educator, your homework in the chat right now is, each of you guys in here can help. I'm hoping I gave you guys some tips, and you can put some questions in there too. But I'd love to hear from you. What is it that you will do? So here's some answers that some parents have told me in the past. This is their answers. And since we're doing it virtually, it just, instead of it getting done on a card that they write, you got to write it in the chat. It is more meaningful when you make it to everyone, because now you're saying this is what I will do. And we're kind of like your workout partners, right? It's way better if you have an accountability partner. And my last one that I think is cool, I mean, look at some of these things. They said, listen and talk openly, tech-free family time. They're going to set that up. They're going to get their passwords. They're going to monitor their screen time, see how much time they're using. Oh, that's the other fun one. I can show you just quickly too. And the last one they're going to do is they're going to share this with everyone tonight. So this is being recorded. If this is available or this was helpful for you, I'm hoping you put it up on your social media, telling people that you're going to, hey, this is worth you watching. You're going to share it out with your friends who couldn't come tonight. This is worth the, an hour of their time to be able to go back. I love it. Thank you, Rowana, making sure I listen more. The other fun one, every phone now has that, is screen time. Let me just stop sharing so you guys can see it. But every phone now has it. If you go to your settings, you can actually go to screen time and you can see how much time they've spent. Have this as like a fun thing. So I've spent 7 hours and 16 minutes on my phone in the past 24 hours. I can actually see, in the past week, see all activity. So today's only 4 hours. And then I can see where I've been spending my time. I can see it here. So Netflix, I watched a show earlier today. And then I've been on TikTok, like it shows it. And we have it as like a competition of who had the most and who had the least. And it's not making them feel bad. It's more like, well, why did you have the most and why did you have the least? And then it's a competition. We talk about it each week so that you can kind of bring it down. I did it with one of my friends at their dinner. Their child, literally her 7th grade daughter, had literally 22 hours of screen time. And I'm like, how is it even possible? Like, how do you have 20? She's like, oh, I fall asleep to Netflix and it just is soothing to me. So her and her mom had a conversation. They went out and bought like some cool sound wave thing. They replaced that with that to be able to get her phone out there so she's not so stressed, right? So just some different things that you guys can do as another way. Jill, awesome. I love that you're going to give the emotional first aid kit. Yeah. Thank you for being active. You guys get A's on your assignment as a teacher. So congratulations, Rowana and Jill. If anybody else wants to put it in the chat. Anybody have any questions? Want me to go back and review, but I'm hoping you guys do see that. And then it is nice when people do follow us on our socials, and I'll put that in the chat as well. So if you look us up on Instagram or on Facebook or on TikTok, it is ICANHELP Official.